they don't understand that.
Keep not turn.
Yeah, they don't understand that. They think that Ephraim's complexion is something new. You know what I'm saying?
Con says,
Yeah,
Con said we're live. It's perfect.
Good.
Con.
Right,
Yeah,
see
yeah.
if I can, show it straight. Yo, hey, yeah. Everything we're gonna do is gonna pull up on this one show.
I got it again.
Yeah, cause I was trying to do something. I was trying to like record what's happening on the screen, but nah. I think I just gotta do that. Let's have re-upload. Man, still haven't done it. Anything good?
Come.
Let me show you the page real quick.
This is what I keep looking at.
Oh, all right.
Right here. Now we good to go, bros.
All right. Alright, Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, we want to say Barak Yahweh, Barak Yahushua, Barak Yahweh, Barak Yahushua, Barak Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushua, Ba'ashem, HaKadosh. Of course, we want to give double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Shalom and salutation to all sincere occupants across the four winds. Of course, it's the DC camp. GMSU said, this is part 2. The diaspora. You know, we've been going through the spirit, the project, and going to different. Remember the diaspora going back to the dispersion of the Jews, the Israelites. You know, so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans. You know, and today, the focus is gonna be on Northern Africa, in particular. Places like Tunisia, Algeria, and Morocco. And then you're going to find out that through history, Israelites, so-called Negroes and Hispanics, as you're going to find out, so-called Negroes and Hispanics was dispersed amongst the Northern Africans, amongst Put, one of the sons of Ham. Because remember, Ham had 4 children, right? Mm-hmm. He had Matazarium, mm-hmm. right? He had Cush, mm-hmm. right? He had Canaan, mm-hmm. and then he had Put. You know what I'm saying? So now we going into Put, one of the 4 sons of Ham, and we're going to show you that in the midst of them, you have Israelites. You have so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans. Their spirits is in the midst of them, although they might look like, the inhabitants, and they might look like the sons of Put, mm-hmm. but they are actually Israelites if you read their spirits. And if you actually watching, and then you see yourself. As far as you recognize a tribe or whatever, and you've been watching videos and your spirit links up with this truth, and you call upon the name of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua and you preach the proper doctrine, you give double honors, of course, to our apostles and elders, and you're on the right track, then guess what? You're one of us. And hopefully, we all become part of the election, right?
Right.
So, yeah, brother, Carl, pull up the book right here.
Carl. Appreciate it.
Yeah, but
it's Isaiah 11, verse 11. It says, matter of fact, verse 10, and in that day there shall be a root of Jesse, which shall stand for an ensign of the people. That's root of Jesse's talking about Yahushua. All right. It says, to it shall the Gentiles seek, and his rest shall be glorious. And it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria, and from Egypt, and from Pathros, and from Cush, and from Elam, and from Shinar, and from Hamath, and from the isles of the sea. All right, and that's, as a matter of fact, we keep going, verse 12. And he shall set up an ensign for the nations, and shall assemble the outcast of Israel. Right,
and enzyme is, the word enzyme means a call to action. It's that spiritual call. When, what's that, John? My sheep here?
10.
Yeah. I
think it's around. Is it 10 to 17 or 10 27?
Yeah, 10 27, if I can get that right quick. Because that's what an enzyme is. An enzyme is a call to action. Let's see. John 10, So like here. This is John 10:27. It says, my sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me. You know what I'm saying? That voice is what? It's the call. It's the ensign. It's the call from Yahushua. You know, because right now Yahushua is calling his elect. You know, his spirit is going across the four winds, and his spirit is like it stirs up your spirit. You know, going back to Peter's when it says stirring up what? Your remembrance, right. Stirring up your minds up to remembrance. That's really the spirit of Yahushua is working through the men of the Lord, through his men, to stir up your remembrance. You know, but remember, the men of the Lord have to be spiritual, just like Yahweh Yahushua is spiritual. Why? Because it's only through spirit, being a spiritual man, that you can link and you can actually speak to these Israelite men that look like heathens and are trying to understand why they don't merge and they don't match with the rest of their own so-called people. You know, you gotta be a spiritual man.
That's right.
Yeah, you finish that up.
That's right. And it says, and he shall set up an ensign for the nations, and shall assemble the outcasts of Israel, and gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth.
That's right. The dispersed of Judah. Judah represents so-called Negroes, so-called West Indians, and so-called Haitians. But what you're going to find out as well is that you're also going to have so-called Guatemalans, you know, from Guatemala to Panama, which is Zebulonites. You're going to find out that they're found where in northern Africa, man.
What also says in that verse, assemble the outcast of Israel. So it covers the other tribes as well.
That's right.
Not just a Judah thing. You know?
That's right. That's right. Absolutely.
You said the book.
Yeah, of course. Show it.
Go. This is from Babylon to Timbuktu, again by Rudolph R. Windsor. All right, on page 83, the North African Black Jews, of course. Continuing on from part 1. This is right here. This is page 85 in the book, about the 3rd paragraph down. It says, after the fall of the Carthaginian metropolis in North Africa, Roman power became dominant.
Oh yeah, brother, pull up on the map. Pull up the map when you read. No, sure. And then you got Carthage. Well, you know what? Pull up Carthage. Right quick. Pull up Carthage. Yep. Go ahead.
It says,
read it again.
After the fall of the Carthaginian metropolis in North Africa, Roman power became dominant in the Barbary states. Under Romans suzerainty, if I'm saying that right.
You see?
Suzerainty.
You know what? Read that, because there's a lot of meat on that. You know, and after in a Barbary state, there's a lot of meat on that word.
Read it again.
Yep.
After the fall of the Carthaginian metropolis, was a city, huge city in North Africa, Roman power became dominant in the Barbary states. Right.
Now let's pull up on Barbary. Let's look up the Barbary coast.
Right.
Remember the Barbary coast?
See if,
be happy.
Yeah, it's not named Salakia. I don't have it named.
So
there we go.
There you go. Yeah, those are the Barbary coasts. You know, now what are the nations that you see? What are the countries that you see in the Barbary coast? It's Morocco, right? It says Algiers, which that's Algeria, and then Tunis, which is Tunisia, right? And you got Tripoli, that's Libya. So that's what, you know, those places, what was known in the ancient times as what? Ancient Carthage. You know, now the people who lived there, now of course you had Israelites, right? You had Israelites that live in Carthage, but you also, but remember, Ham and his sons went down into, like we said last time, the 3 sons of Ham went into where? They went into Africa. The first 3 sons, Montezamium, you know, which is the so-called Sudanese, the Philistines, they went down into Egypt, right? They became our masters for 400 years, right? And then you had Cush. Cush was in Babylon in the Middle East, but they also went down into the eastern part, the eastern side of Africa, right? And then you had Canaan. Canaan was Tyre and Zidon, you know, in the Middle East. You know, there was Sodom and Gomorrah, but they also went down into what? Into South Africa. But the three main, it was really Matazarian, Kush, and Put. Because Put went straight down to Northern Africa.
Right.
And they remained there. They were called the Berber tribes.
Right.
You know, so that's the Barbary coast. Now look up the Berber tribe, brother. Back sure.
Berber tribe.
Because as a matter of fact, can you pull up well, yeah, pull up, go to Edom Online and type in Berber. Yeah, right there, Edom Online. Type in Berber. And click on it.
This is Berber, from the Arabic name for the peoples living in the mountains and deserts of North Africa, west of Egypt. Perhaps ultimately from Greek barbaros, barbarians. See Barbary.
Right, that's where we get the Barbary coast, right? Now it says perhaps, it said, and through the spirit, when you look at the word barbarian, right? Barbarian, what does it say? A barbarian was somebody. The Greeks called anybody who didn't speak the Greek language as a barbarian, meaning the language that you spoke was, you know, it's kind of like anything. You know how any language outside of America being the #1 language on the planet.
English, yeah.
Right. I said what? The English language, right? The English language in America being the #1 language on the planet. Any other language is really second rate.
Looked at as primitive.
It's looked at as primitive. So you got people in America and people in England, when they travel to different places across the globe, they expect you to speak English.
Right.
They expect all these people to speak English.
Right.
So when they don't speak the language, they're like, well, these dudes talking crazy. But remember, mind you, you are somebody living in that land.
Right.
But because what? Because of the imperialism of America, aka Babylon, the virgin daughter of Babylon, because of that, guess what happens? When imperialism comes dominance, economical dominance, political dominance, and always what? And also what? Linguistic dominance. Which linguistic goes back to languages. So you had the Greeks dominated, you know what I'm saying, all of the Euro-Asia, I would say peninsula, right? And the language that was spoken was Greek. So if you spoke any other language than that, you were known as a barbarian. And back then, the Greeks in the Greco-Roman Empire had wars against Carthage. So the ones in Carthage were also known as what? Barbarians.
Right.
You know, just by default, they were called barbarians.
And not barbarians because they was heathen.
No.
You got people say barbarians talking about they're the white man.
No.
Not understanding that, you know?
No. And as a matter of fact, when you go into what's that? 2 Corinthians. You know, there you go. So this is 1 Corinthians actually. 1 Corinthians chapter 14 and 9. 1 Corinthians chapter 14 verse 9, it says, so likewise you, except ye utter by the tongue words easy to be understood, how shall it be known what is spoken? For ye shall speak into the air. There are, it may be, so many kinds of voices in the world, and none of them is without signification. Therefore, if I know not the meaning of the voice, I shall be unto him that speaketh of what? A barbarian. And he that speaketh shall be a barbarian unto me.
Right.
So being a barbarian is not a nationality. It has nothing to do with your ethnic background.
Right.
All it meant is that you're speaking a language that I don't understand.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And specifically when I'm calling you a barbarian, I am pretty much diminishing the value of your language.
See, that's what happens when the white man seeks to paint the likeness of his images everywhere.
That's right.
Not just the scriptures and everything.
That's right.
Because even in Hollywood and movies, when you think of a barbarian, for example, Conan what?
Conan
the Barbarian.
That's right.
They all got to be Edomites.
That's right.
But that's not the case.
Not the case.
Yep.
Not the case. And when you really look at it, like you said, if you really go down to the history and you look at the real Conan, so to speak, I mean, it's a fictional character.
Right.
But those are, remember, Conan and the people he was moving, especially Conan the Destroyer.
Yeah.
There's a second one, Conan the Destroyer.
Right.
He was part of a nomadic tribe. They were moving around. Well, who are the people always been known? Who are the nation of people that's always been known for being nomadic?
Right.
It's the Israelites. The Israelites have always been known, we've always been known to be, what, nomadic.
Right.
Moving from place to place. So when you look at the movie Conan with Arnold, the second one, he was moving around with these nomadic tribes. So, hey, you know what? The actual, if there was such a thing and such a character as Conan, he would have to be an Israelite, man. You know? But, of course, like the brother said, Esau is going to paint things to his likeness and make it seem like it's him. But we've already transcended that space, right, where we believe that whatever Esau says, that's what it is. Even when he shows a picture, right, we question everything.
Right, exactly.
We question what he says. We question the images that he shows. And you have to do that when you deal with this devil, man. So, let me see. I had another one. This is Colossians chapter 3. I'm gonna start at 9. It says, "Lie not one to another, seeing that ye have put off the old man with his deeds." Verse 10. "And have put on the new man, which is renewed in knowledge after the image of him that created him." Right, so now the Lord is, remember, this is Paul speaking, but it's the Spirit of the Lord speaking to Israelites as far as like a brotherhood. You know, so it's not like, well, Israel's, you know, it's not like he's talking to other people, to another nation. He's talking to Israelites and how we're supposed to conduct within, you know, within ourselves now that we've been renewed in the knowledge, right, meaning we've been born again in the Spirit. Right. So since we're born again in the Spirit, like it says according to John the 3rd chapter, right? Since we're born again according to the Spirit, now we got to recognize our brothers in a spiritual manner. Right. So we don't recognize our brothers in a physical or carnal manner, in a natural manner. Right. You know, just like the scripture says in Corinthians, the natural man. Right. You know, in Corinthians, the natural man and the spiritual man is two, but they're two Israelite men. The natural man is what? It's the Israelite man that's naturally born an Israelite. Right. And then the spiritual man is an Israelite man that was naturally born as an Israelite, but has evolved, it has transcended his flesh. Right. And now it's a spiritual man. So thus, he understands things that the natural Jew cannot understand. Right, right. You know, plain and simple. So when you get to that place, now when you seek the nation of Israel, you no longer seek the nation of Israel just according to the physical appearance. Right. Now this is going back to Colossians chapter 3, verse 10, it says, "And have put on the new man, which is renewed in knowledge after the image of him that created him." The image that goes back to the image of the Heavenly Father Yahweh. It goes back to Genesis. You know, the image that's talking about the way. You know, what is the way of the Heavenly Father Yahweh? What is his the purpose that he wants? That's the image of the Lord. So it's according to the image. And when you find out in the scripture, the image of the Lord is the gospel of what? The gospel and the faith in Yahweh Shai. You know what I'm saying? So if you understand that, Yahweh Shai said his elects are scattered. So now verse 11 says, "Where there is neither Greek nor Jew, circumcision nor uncircumcision, barbarian, Scythian, bond nor free, but Hamashiach Yahushua is all and in all." That's right. You see that? Now when you look up the barbarians, for the most part, you're talking about northern Africa, right? That's what we are, northern Africa. Of course, back then they were called barbarians by Greco-Romans, you know, Iraqis. They diminished the value of their languages, you know. But you have the barbarians. Now you got the Scythians. When you look up the Scythians, the Scythians were the ancient Japhites, right? That's where you get the word Greeks, because the original Greeks were the sons of Javan, which is one of the main son, if I'm not mistaken. If I'm not mistaken, one of the sons of Japhet. Yes. So Javan, when you look at Javan in the location, that's where the Scythians were located. That was another name for the Japhites in that place. Well, guess what? You had Israelites in the midst, man. That's why Yahweh Shai said he is in all, meaning his spirit, and his spirit that seeks after the elect are in all these spirits that are scattered amongst the heathens, man. And this is Amos chapter 9. This is Amos chapter 9, verse 9. It says, "For lo, I will commend and I will sift the house of Israel among all nations." You see that? It says, "For lo, I will commend and I will sift." When you look up the word sift, another word for sift is shake. You know, it's shake, it's a totter. Pretty much what the Lord is saying, the Lord is filtering. That's what's happening. The spirit of Yahweh Shah is filtering, man. It's putting all the nations in there, and it's filtering out the heathens, and it's filtering out the 2/3 out of the nation of Israel. So it's a big shakeup going on, man. So it says, Amos 9:9, it says, "For lo, I will commend and I will sift the house of Israel among all nations, like as corn is sifted in a sieve, yet shall not the least grain fall upon the earth." Meaning you're not going to have an elect, you know what I'm saying, that's going to be destroyed, man. You're not going to have an elect that's going to be destroyed. Regardless of how they look like, if they believe in Yahweh B'Shem Shah, because the believing in Yahweh Shah is the image, man. It's the image that's spoken of in Genesis. So if they believe in that image, then guess what? They most likely part of the elect. So you have to accept that this is an Israelite, regardless of how they look like. And you got Israelites that look like Tunisians. You have Israelites that look like Algerians. You have Israelites in Tunisia, Morocco, right? You got Israelites in Morocco. So let's get back on. You got something? You had a precept?
I was looking for none to be able to. Yeah. This is that's the spirit right here. I'll just pull it up. This is John 10 and verse 28, and I give verse 27. My sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me. And I give unto them eternal life, and they shall never perish, neither shall any man pluck them out of my hand.
That's right. That's right. That's what it means by the no grain shall fall. That's right. That's right.
I'm going back to the book.
Come. You pull it through that
picture.
Yep. That's it.
Come, Salaki. Going back to the book on page 85, it says, under Roman suzerainty, Salakia, if I'm pronouncing that wrong, and power, the Jews of Asia and North Africa rebelled AD 115. The Jews considered themselves numerous enough to challenge Roman authority in the east and in the south.
Wait, I got something. Let me bring this out right quick, because as this is another book. You pull up and bring the image right quick. Yeah, this is another book. It's called the Hebrewisms of West Africa.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So you should definitely try to check this book out. You know what I'm saying? Again, Hebrewism of West Africa by Joseph J. Williams. And one of the titles here, it says Vanished Glories of the North, right? And then when you get to the next page on Hebrewisms of West Africa, it says Jews of Carthage. It says, from Sidney Mendelssohn, we learn there is an old tradition among the nomadic tribes of Tunisia that the Jews settled in the country before the destruction of the first temple. And although this statement has been sometimes regarded as unfounded, there can be little doubt that a colony of Jews existed in Carthage soon after the building of the city. And Cassidy is even more specific when he says of the Phoenicians, they founded mercantile depots along the North African shores, generally placed in charge of Jews, then as now distinguished by their commercial aptitude. Thus were established, among others, on the Tunisian coast colonies at Lamtha, Sucre, Tunis, Carthage, and Benzur. Now it says, it is not surprising then to find Nahum Slouch claiming there are indications in the Bible as well as in the works of ancient writers and in the Phoenician inscriptions discovered from time to time that numbers of Hebrew settlers or slaves followed the Phoenicians in the excursion across the Mediterranean. And again, inscriptions indicate that certain tribes of Asher and of Zebulun lived in Carthage ever since the foundation of the city. Right? Because, you know, the old belief, a lot of times Jake believes that all of the northern kingdom went into Assyrian captivity. And that's just not the case, man. You had Israelites that weren't even living in Israel when that captivity happened. You had Israelites living in northern Africa part of the northern tribe, Zebulon, so-called Guatemala and Panama.
Oh,
so you
man.
know they had children. You know, you got our people from Zebulon. They got children over there in Tunisia.
Please.
Got
Help a shot.
okay, man, out.
This is a book called The Negro Question by Lee Cummings. Another book. And on page 19, chapter 2, it says Israelite colonies. And since the brother's talking about Carthage, it says Carthage, Africa, was a Jewish colony founded in North Africa in the year 800 BC by the black Phoenicians. It could have been a place of refuge for the Israelites fleeing the Assyrian invasion of 722 BC. But wait a minute, what's the Assyrian invasion? What did that deal with? Didn't that deal with the other tribes outside of Judah, Benjamin, and Levi?
That's right.
You see, not every last one of us scattered and went other places and stuff like that, you know?
That's right.
Well, I would say not every last one of them scattered and went to a main place.
The main place, right? You know, it was a dispersion, which that usually happens when you being ransacked. When you being ransacked, and that's the thing. You see even in movies. You know, example. Look at the movie Troy, right? When the Greeks finally were able to take down Troy, remember a lot of the people of Troy ran out the back door. Remember they had the little exit tunnel. That's where Hector's wife. Remember Hector's wife and his child and the priestess. They had a back door. So through that back door, they were able to escape. A lot of them were able to escape out of Troy. Well, that's the same thing with Israel. That's the same thing with Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. Remember, the Lord said, "He that be flee in the mountain."
Yeah.
So every time the cities have been ransacked, you've always had a dispersion. What? Because the people are fleeing captivity.
Yeah.
So it clearly tells you that you got a lot of northern tribes located where? Located in northern Africa, man. In places like Tunisia, right? You have Simeonites in Tunisia. You have Simeonites in Morocco.
Yeah.
You know, plain and simple. So this whole thing about African black people, that's why we don't deal with no black and white and no, we deal with ethnic backgrounds. We deal with nationality, and ultimately we deal with this spirit, man.
Yeah.
Hey, brother, go back.
Okay, going back to the book on page 85, it says, because of their numbers, the Jews almost subdued their adversaries, who had compelled them to suffer many atrocities and indignities. Emperor Trajan sent his general, Turbo, to bring law and order.
Right. A little bit of history on those emperors, because I looked that up. First, let's deal with Emperor Trajan. Yeah, let's pull him up first. Read a little bit of history on that guy, and then we're gonna read a little bit of history on his general, Marcius Turbo, which that had to be a Jake when you gonna see his the sculpture and the statue and all that. But this dude was a devil. Yeah, you got it.
What link you pull?
Yeah, Wikipedia. Yep, Wikipedia. Just read like the first paragraph right quick, go like this.
Trajan was Roman emperor from 98 to 117 AD, officially declared by the Senate Optimus Princeps,
right.
the best ruler.
That's right, Optimus. Of course, Princeps goes back to actually look up the word Princeps right quick, because Optimus. That's where you get Optimus Prime,
Right.
Optimus means well favored. Optimus means well favored. So look up Princeps.
Means leader.
Leader. There you go. So Princeps means leader. So Optimus Princeps means well favored leader.
Right.
So he was beloved, amongst what? Amongst the Romans. He was beloved amongst the Romans. Why? It's gonna say it. Go ahead.
It says Trajan is remembered as a successful soldier emperor who presided over the greatest military expansion in Roman history.
See that? That's why. Because when you really talking about Rome going around kicking ass, when Rome was really going around kicking ass and truly expanding, because remember, the one nation that kept giving Rome a hard time was the nation of Israel. So when they pushed us to the side, right, after we fled into West Africa and all of that, Rome expanded tremendously. Why? Because now there was no more, you know, resistance. So it was easy to just go in, and they took down Carthage, right? They took down Carthage, and that's how they was able to expand. And that's why he was beloved amongst the Romans, you know, and Emperor Trajan. Yeah.
And it says, leading the empire to attain its maximum territory extent by the time of his death.
Now, let me get this precept right quick. Yeah, that's Edom Esau for you, man. That's their history. See, they don't want to. They're not going to teach this in school, though. You know, I didn't know about Emperor Trajan until, you know, you don't learn about the dude, and all you learn is Julius Caesar, Augustus, you know, the main, you know, same characters. Alexander. You know, but you got other dudes. Why? Because the thing is, when you get to the emperors like Emperor Trajan, then you're getting closer and closer to the Holy Roman Empire. Now you're going to start dealing with, you know, the Marcus Aurelius and, you know, Septimus Severus, and, you know, he saw that he don't want you to get there.
But then again, he will talk about Constantine.
Yeah.
Because he was the wicked of our nation.
That's right. And this is Micah chapter 2, verse 2. It says, woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it, because it is in the power of their hands. Now, you got to remember, a lot of these wars that the Romans waged, it was waged on deception. Just like America's wages a lot of wars on deception right now. Meaning what? False flags. Listen, the idea of false flag comes from the Roman Empire. You know, when you look at the history of the Roman Empire, nobody was better at staging false flags than the Romans. They would literally dress up like example, Julius Caesar had a private army mercenaries, right? And they would actually dress up and wear the same garments and armors as the enemy, and come in and attack the city or attack certain places in the city, and then blame it on that nation for a pretext of war. These things were happening back then, man. So you gotta understand, that's why when we say the spirit, when the scripture speaks about that he had the power of the first beast, it's the same mentality, man. Let me get that right quick. This is Revelation chapter 13, verse 11. It says, and I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb, and it spake as a dragon. And he exercised all the power of the first beast before him, and caused the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. So when you talk about verse 11, you talking about the lamb with the two horns. It goes back to the two political groups, right? It goes back to the plebeians and who are the other ones?
Patricians.
The patricians and the plebeians, which today you have the plebeians would be the Democrats, and the patricians would be who? The Republicans. It's the same spirit. And how does America wage war? America wages war in what? False flags, pretexts, man. Pretexts of being actually attacked to go on and invade a nation. Why? Because they always covered fields, right? So going back to Micah 2 and 1, it says, woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it, because it is in the power of their hand. And they covet fields, and they take them by violence, and houses, and take them away. So they oppress a man in his house, even a man in his heritage. That's why you got all these names in Africa and different places were named by the Romans. You know, that's called what? Imperialism, man. It's the same spirit. And it's through the same spirit that you have the diaspora of Israel amongst all the nations, which, you know, that goes back to, you know, the curse that Yahweh Bashimashah put on us for disobeying his law, statutes, and commandments. Yeah, finish that paragraph on him.
Oh.
Sure. Did you delete it?
I'll get it back. Here it is. This is pull it up. It says I'll read this part again. Trajan is remembered as a successful soldier emperor who presided over the greatest military expansion in Roman history, leading the empire to attain its maximum territorial extent by the time of his death. He is also known for his philanthropic rule, overseeing extensive public building programs and implementing social welfare policies, which earned him his enduring reputation as the second of the 5 good emperors who presided over an era of peace and prosperity in the Mediterranean world.
Now, how can they say peace when they just said he expanded? He expanded the Roman Empire more than anybody else. That's the same thing with Donald Trump when he gets up there and said, "Well, by what did he say? He said by the peace and something to the extent when he was like, well, we're gonna set peace on the Middle East. And, well, hold up, he dropped missiles in Syria.
Yeah.
That's the same. It's the same spirit of deception. Peace through what? Through covetousness and destruction.
Well, it's peace when they do it.
When they do it. Why? Because it brings peace to them.
Look at 9/11, so-called.
That's right, so-called.
It's peace when they drop the bombs on others, but when it happens over here,
that's right.
It's a massacre. Oh my goodness, they're terrible.
That's right. That's right.
This is going back in the book. This is page 85 again. Emperor Trajan sent his General Turbo.
Right, his General Turbo. When you look up Turbo, like I said, you can do it on your own time through spirit. Look up Turbo, you will see that's clearly a jig, man. Go ahead.
To bring law and order. Instead of bringing law and order, the act of suppression of the insurrection brought a massacre. The suppression of rebellion under the slogan of law and order may be good in principle, but a good thing may be carried too far. So it was in this case. The pagans, and that's their spirit.
That's right.
As you said, the pagans and the Romans attacked the Jews indiscriminately. And when I say, Salaki, when the book says pagans, another word for pagan is heathen.
That's right.
Just to keep that in your mind. When something says heathen, it's talking about the other nations. So it's the heathens and the Romans attacked the Jews. Okay? Indiscriminately, both the Jewish soldiers and uninvolved peaceful population without mercy. As a result of this merciless attack, many Jews fled to those parts of northwest Africa known as Tunisia, Algeria, Morocco, and Mauritania.
Right, now let's get on that. Let's get on those particular places, and let's look at the people of those lands and how they look like, the languages that they speak. You know what I'm saying? And a little bit of history. Let's go with the Berber tribe. Let's read that.
I can get rid of this from right here.
Yep.
Salaki.
Good.
So,
yeah, we already got that. Go to the Wikipedia Berber tribe. We had it.
I don't know why it's not Salaki.
It's up there.
It's not coming up.
There you go.
There it is. Bring it up. This is Berber in the Britannica. It says Berber, self-named Amazigh, plural Imazigan, any of the descendants of the pre-Arab inhabitants of North Africa. The Berbers live in scattered communities across Morocco, Algeria, Tunisia, Libya, Egypt, Mali, Niger, Mauritania.
Right, now when it says pre-Arab, why? Because Muhammad, when Muhammad passed, when Muhammad died in 632 AD, basically, Islam was being pushed tremendously hard in Africa, especially Northern Africa, and through that, all the Berber people, which we're gonna read in, and we're gonna get some images. That's how they became. That's why they converted into Islam, because they had no choice. Because Islam came down, the Israelites came down swinging their sword, man. You know what I'm saying? Straight up, because that's what they believe. They believe in the the religion of peace. That's how they call it. Their religion is for peace. It's through the sword. So they were cutting a lot of the heads off, and then ultimately they conquered the people, the Berber tribe. They conquered them and pretty much pushed that Islam bullshit on them, man. But guess what? Like we're gonna show you, in the midst of them, you have a lot of Israelites. That's why Israelites have this affinity with Islam. The two major religions that have destroyed the nation of Israel is what? First and foremost is Christianity, and second is Islam.
It makes sense because both of them deal with the Bible in some way, shape, form, or fashion. They deal with they deal with the scriptures somewhat.
That's right.
Even though, you know, the religions is garbage, it's tarnished, but they deal with the scriptures in some type of way. That's why Jake has a more closer bond. Where the scriptures talks about the curses, how we want to serve other gods, wood and stone.
That's right.
And that's it. That's wood is Christianity, stone is Islam, man.
That's right. Well, let me get that. So this is Habakkuk. This is Habakkuk chapter 2 and verse 19. Well, I'm going to start at 18. It said, "What profiteth the graven image that the maker thereof has graven it? The molten image, and teacher of lies, that the maker of his work trusteth therein, to make dumb idols? Woe unto him that saith to the wood, awake, to the dumb stone, arise, it shall teach. Behold, it is laid over with gold and silver, and there is no breath at all in the midst of it. But the Lord is in his temple. Let all the earth keep silence before him." Right, because when you're talking about wood and stone, of course the wood represents what? Christianity. That's where you get that on Tammuz and all that. That represents Christianity. Why is it? What's the correlation between Christianity and the wood and Tammuz? Because Christianity is a religion based on the Queen of Heaven worship. Because Christianity goes back to Roman Catholicism, and Roman Catholicism worship what? Mary, the so-called Mary, the mother of God, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? And that spirit of the woman and the child that never grows up to be a man, is actually the spirit of Semiramis and Tammuz. Right. That's the spirit of Christianity. You know what I'm saying? So therefore, when you see the wood and you see the T people win that cross, it's really Tammuz, right? So then the nation of Israel, hey, they, like the brother said, they got a bond with it. And the nation of Israel always had a bond with Tammuz, going back to Jeremiah. And then you got, of course, the stone. You got the cobblestone, you know, Allah. You know, when you look at the statue of Allah, hey brother, can you pull that up right quick? Just go to regular Wikipedia. Put in a statue of Allah. See what shows up. I hope it's still up there. There you go. Let's get some. There you go. There you go. Right there.
Yeah, this is damn dude.
You see that? Because remember, because that's when you do your research, you realize that there's this statue. That's what because remember, the Arabs have multiple gods. Prior to actually focusing on one God, which was Allah, they have multiple gods.
Yeah, they were every day of the year.
That's right. So now when they went down to, as they were conquering Northern Africa, this is one of the gods that they found. You know what I'm saying? As they were, you know, of course you got the black popes that were in there pushing that what's that, monotheism, right? Monotheism. Then they pretty much because that's what it is with these belief and religion. They always put one thing and put it together. That's like paganism. You grab one thing right here and try to merge it with the scripture and be like, yeah, that's what it is. That's what it is. The same thing. They took this stone and they merged it with the monotheism of the black popes of Roman Catholicism, saying, voila, this is Allah. And it's like, there's no correlation. It's just idol worship. That's all it is. You know? But the nation of Israel is in that. You know? Now, let's pull up, let's go to Tunisia. Let's read a little bit about Tunisia and read a little bit about Morocco. But actually, we had you have images of the Berber people, right? The Berber tribe. Yeah, pull that up. See some images. And like I said, if you happen to see yourself in that, understand that, you know, the nation of Israel is scattered amongst the four corners of the earth, man. And that's the reason why the end is coming. You see all the prophecies is going on right now. I mean, listen, man, you got North Korea, all of a sudden, they said, nah, we ain't gonna, you know, we're not gonna sign a peace treaty with South Korea unless South Korea stops having military drills with America. But hold up, we've been knowing that North Korea and South Korea was gonna go to war. Why? Because that's prophecy, man. They're having allegiance to their power, the powers that back them up. North Korea's just been fine all these years dealing with Russia and China. All of a sudden, you think they're gonna sign a treaty where they're gonna deal with America? Right. And then know what America just did to Libya and Syria? Get the fuck out of here, man. Right. For all you to believe that, that means you don't believe in the spirit of prophecy. That means Yahweh Shai ain't dealing with you, man. These are the times that we live in, man. What you got on, brother?
Oh, kind of Tunisia. There's some of the tribes, well, the people.
And see, they look nothing like them Ishmael, man.
Exactly, pre-Arab.
Right, this is not Ishmael. This is not Ishmael. These are Hamites, man. These are Hamites that were converted. They were Hamites that got converted into what? Islam. After Muhammad and his kind, these Ishmaelites went down there and whooped their ass, right? And pushed that Islamic bullshit on them, man. But guess what? In the midst of those places, you got what? You got Israelites. Now, some of them come up in lighter complexion because you know they all, of course, they made it with Ishmaelites. So some of them, that's when you go to Tunisia, you see the lighter complexion. Those are what you call Arabs, which Arab is just nothing but a mixture. So you had a mixture between Put, and Ishmael. So you got to understand that that situation, pretty much. You know what I'm saying? So that's what it is. And you have Israelites in the midst.
Got that. Look up the actual word going to Tunisia.
That's right, go ahead.
Tunisia, officially the Republic of Tunisia, is a sovereign state in Northwest Africa covering 165,000 square kilometers or 65,000 square miles. Its northmost point, Cape Angela, is the northmost point on the African continent.
Right.
It is bordered by Algeria to the west and southwest, Libya to the southwest, and the Mediterranean Sea to the north and east. Tunisia's population was estimated to be just under 11.93 million in 2016. Tunisia's name is derived from its capital city, Tunis, which we saw on the map, which is located on its northeast coast.
Right, and look at that flag. That's a flag, that's the national flag. You know why it's like that, right? The crescent and the moon, the crescent moon and the star. Why? Because that's after being conquered by Islam.
Exactly.
But the original Tunisians are Hamite, of Hamitic descent. But in the midst of them, you have a whole rack of Israelites, man. They just look like them. So if you could be a Tunisian, if you from Tunisia, and you've been watching these videos and YouTube, you know, because it says, let me get that. This is Psalms, so like Psalms 19, and I'm gonna start at 1 actually. This is Psalms 19:1. It says, the heavens declare the glory of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua, and the firmament show of his handiwork. Right, the heavens is talking about in the skies, right? In the skies it says they declare the glory of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua, and the firmament show of his handiwork. Meaning, in the skies you have what you call the satellites, and through the satellites, which is also known as the feeder horn, you're able to actually receive the message, which is the glory, right? Which is the gospel of Yahushua, that light. You're able to receive the light through the firmaments, because it's being projected from here, starting with our apostles and elders, a great millstone, through the spirit and power of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. The message is being projected. It gets shot up over there, right? It gets shot up in the heavens, and in the firmaments, what does it do? It spreads the words across the four winds. It's light. It's like rays of light that's being spread, and it pops up in your laptop or your phone, and then you get the light. And so you in Tunisia and you watching this video, or you've been watching videos, and it's your soul and your spirit merges with it, and you being stirred up to remembrance, and you call upon the name of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua, and you feel, you understand everything that's going on in prophecy, then guess what? You're an Israelite, man. Now, whether you're part of the elect, we don't know, but the elect is scattered. You could be part of the elect. You know, so you need to get out of that mindset and be like, well, damn, I'm from Tunisia. Like, I don't look like a black man. You know, I don't look like an Hispanic man. It's not about that. It's about the spirit. It's about your essence. Now, check this out. This is right quick. This is Job chapter 13:1. You know, that's where you brothers out there that because of your physical appearance, or when you located, you feel like, you know, I don't know if I will be accepted, right? Because you got guys out here like ISUPK that will not accept you. If you don't have the average look, they will not accept you. Now this is Job 13:1. It says, "Lo, mine eye," it's like mine eye has seen all of this. Mine ear has heard and understood it. what ye know, the same do I know also. I am not inferior unto you. Surely I will speak to the Almighty, and I desire to reason with the Most High. That's the mindset. You see what I'm saying? That's the mindset that you're supposed to have. That's the mindset you're supposed to have if you're a Hebrew Israelite that looks like a heathen. If you're in Tunisia and you're in Morocco and you're in Algeria right now, man, the mindset you're supposed to have is this. And don't let no Israelite man tell you, well, you're not an Israelite because you look like a heathen. This is your mindset. This is Job. I'm going to read it again. Job 13:1. It says, lo, mine eyes have seen all of this. Don't their eyes see the same thing? The spiritual eyes? It says, lo, my eyes have seen all of this. Mine ear has heard and understood. To understand this, you got to be an Israelite. So if you understand this, that means you're an Israelite. It said, what ye know, the same do I know also. And that's the mindset you got to have. What we know, you got to be like, I know the same thing y'all know. Why is that? Because you're an Israelite, right? It says, what ye know, the same do I know also. I am not inferior unto you. See that? And that's the spirit you got to have. Don't feel like you're inferior only why? Because you look like another nation, man. You're not inferior, man. You possibly part of the election, man. So I'll read again. This is Job 13:2. What ye know, the same do I know also. I am not inferior unto you. Surely I would speak to the Almighty, and I desire to reason with Yahweh Bashim Shai. So to be able to reason with Yahweh Bashim Shai, you got to be of what? The stock of Israel, man. And in particular, you got to be part of the election. So if you're in places like that, all these places that we bringing forth through the Spirit, and this is going with your spirit, man, hey, get to it, man. That's right. That's right, brother. That's right. Galatians. Hey, Shalom, Mark. Shalom. Shalom, sharp and shot. Yeah, absolutely, man. It's through faith. It's through faith. Now, yeah, that was appreciate. You want to go back? Let's go. Let's deal with we got Tunisia. Let's deal with Algeria and then Morocco.
Come.
Go to the same page in Tunisia. Just type in Algeria. I think you gotta go back on that one. Nah, the one with the flag. Yeah, just go back. Yeah, just type in Algeria in the search. Because those are the main three places we're dealing with. Northern Africa, you know, because remember the title is what? It's about the diaspora, which is the dispersion, you know, the scattering, right? The scattering of the Jews, Israelites. And like we read earlier, you have northern tribes. You have Zebulon, and you have Asher. And you even have Simeon, you know what I'm saying, in Northern Africa, man. Those are spiritual facts. You know? Go ahead, brother. Read that first paragraph, right?
This is Algeria. They speak the Berber languages. Officially, the People's Democratic Republic of Algeria is a sovereign state in North Africa on the Mediterranean coast. The capital and most populous city is Algiers, located in the far north of the country, with an area of 2,381,741 square kilometers. Algeria is the 10th largest country in the world and the largest in Africa since South Sudan became independent from Sudan in 2011. Algeria is bordered to the northeast by Tunisia, to the east by Libya, to the west by Morocco, to the southwest by the Western Saharan territory, Mauritania, and Mali, to the southeast by Niger, and to the north by the Mediterranean Sea. The country is a semi-presidential republic consisting of 48 provinces and communes, and 1,541 communes. Abdulaziz Bouteflika has been president since 1999.
Oh, read the second one. There's some good stuff on that.
Which one? Oh, the second one.
Paragraph.
Ancient Algeria has known many empires and dynasties, including ancient Numidians, Phoenicians, Carthaginians, Romans, Vandals, Byzantines, Umayyads, Abbasids, Idrisid, Agabid, Rustamid, Fatimids, Zirid.
All of those edges. That's after
Hamadids, right?
After getting their asses handed to them by Islam. Right?
Almoravids, Almohads, Spaniards, Ottomans, and the French colonial empire.
Right, because the Ottoman Turks is the ones who took down the Byzantine Empire. So when the Ottomans took took them down, which known as Turkey. And then what happened? The last colonial empire to come down there was the French.
Right.
That's why the main language in Northern Africa really is French, because that was their last conqueror. You know what I'm saying? So that's what you would notice that. So you got so that means you got a lot. You got all the tribes there. You got all the tribes. You got Judah. You got Benjamin in there. You got Levi in there. You got Zebulon, Simeon, Asher, right? Because like I said, there's another part of there's a place in Babylon in Timbuktu when it said that there was a Simeon, a man of Simeon, who went up there and made trades. He was constantly going back and forth and was doing business in North Africa and Morocco. So you got a lot of Simeonites in Morocco, man. That's just the truth.
Right.
You gotta deal with that. You know what I'm saying?
If I may have finished this, it says Berbers are the indigenous inhabitants of Algeria.
That's right. It's the same. It's the people. You know, it's the people, the Berbers, which again, going back to one of the sons. If you just want to deal on the carnal level, the Berber people or the Berber tribe is one of the sons of Ham, right? Just on the carnal level, on the carnal tip. But remember, this is a spiritual search. This is a spiritual search that we're doing through the spirit. So therefore, we are trying to localize, so to speak, right, the nation of Israel, Israelite spirits located into those places, man. You know, and it's gonna happen. You know, this is part of prophecy. This is meant to happen. This is let's see if I. Okay. This is Acts chapter. This is Acts chapter 15, and I'm gonna start at 7. It says, and when there had been much disputing, Peter rose up and said unto them, Men and brethren, ye know how that a good while ago Yahweh Shem Shah made choice among us, that the Gentiles or Israelite foreigners by my mouth should hear the word of the gospel and believe. See, we no longer have to physically, we don't have to physically travel to Tunisia like somebody we know.
Right.
You know, like the purple people eaters.
Right.
You know, this guy actually believes that he has to physically do the work of Paul and go into these places physically.
Because they don't have the internet.
Right, because I know, right? Because they don't have the internet.
Right.
These people make money.
Right.
Brother, Morocco got money.
Right.
Tunisia got money.
Right.
Algeria got money. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So they got the internet. You know what I'm saying? So you think they're going physically there is gonna make them understand?
Right.
How many times have we spoken to Jake, you know, face to face, and they still couldn't get it?
Right.
You think that doesn't matter? It does matter to be out there, but as far as waking up, it's the Spirit of the Lord. So we don't have to physically travel like Paul traveled. Now our words are traveling, man.
This is 1 Corinthians 3 and verse 7. So then neither is he that planteth anything, neither he that watereth, but the Most High, Yahweh Shem Shah, that giveth the increase.
That's right.
It's all about the Heavenly Father and Son. You know, giving it through the power of the Holy Spirit and make you come back to them.
That's right.
It has nothing to do with you.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Hey, the brother Sharp Shah said, I used to always think French Montana was northern tribe before I found out he was from Morocco. Yeah. And see, that's crazy because I felt the same. But see, when I looked at French Montana, I was like, this dude looked like a Simeonite. But because I've been around people from Morocco before, I've eaten Moroccan cuisine of their food. I seen that look before, you know what I'm saying? And when you look at French Montana, it makes sense, you know what I'm saying? So he's got to be a Simeonite from Morocco, because Morocco is heavy. You know, the land called Morocco is heavy with Simeon. Look at that. Tell me this dude don't look like a Simeonite, man.
Yeah.
But that's also the look that people have in Morocco. So the influence of Simeon in northern Africa is heavy. So if you watching this and and we bringing this out, it's for comfort. You gotta be comforted, man. Yahweh Shah is the comfort. He said I was saying a comforter. the Comforter came in many ways, and now in the last days, the Comforter is coming in a way to sift the nation of Israel from amongst the heathens, man. So this is going back to Acts chapter 15, verse 7. It says, "And when they had been much disputing, Peter rose up and said unto them, Men and brethren, ye know how that a good while ago Yahweh Bashim Yahushua made choice among us, that the Gentiles by my mouth should hear the word of the gospel and believe." And I grabbed that on Isaiah 49, 5, be like to the Gentiles. Verse 8, Acts 15:8, "And Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, which knoweth the hearts, bear them witness, giving them the Holy Spirit." So if you're in Tunisia right now, you're in Algeria, you're in these places, right, and you believe you're part of the Berber tribe and all that, listen, if your spirit meshes with this spirit, that means you got the Holy Spirit. Because the Holy Spirit is the understanding of the words of Yahushua, man. It says, verse 8, "And Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, which knoweth the hearts, bear them witness, giving them the Holy Spirit, even as he did unto us." Us meaning us, the ones who have the so-called look, you know, the so-called look, you know, we get the awaken first, you know, like it says, the tents of Judah, and also, of course, the tents of Ephraim, right, located here in America, you know, Babylon, the virgin daughter of Babylon, spoken of in Revelation. So we all both get the faith. That's why when I read in Job, it said, Job said, what? I've seen the things that you see. I hear the things that you hear. You know what I'm saying? I am not inferior to you. So don't feel like you're inferior to us. We all Israelites, man. It says, verse 9, it says, "And put no difference between us and them, purifying their hearts by faith." That's right. So faith is what's going to purify you if you from these places, man. Look at French Montana, man. I mean, he's making big music. Our people buy his shit like it's great. Like, you know, he's one of... Remember, I made a video called Black Excellence. Right. And it was Diddy, it was French Montana, right, man. Right. So he's considered as what? He's considered as a so-called black man. Right. By niggas that are off the world.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look at the people he's hanging around.
Yeah, come on, man. Listen, man, this, like the scripture said, this is really through the Spirit, this is easy, man. When you get it, it's really easy. But when the Spirit of the Lord ain't dealing with you, then you start with this thing. You got guys, not only, man, instead of going out and trying to reach the nation of Israel, instead now they're waxing worse and worse and saying now the heathens can make it. We not sitting here bringing the heathens, because we ain't bringing nobody. It's the Spirit of the Lord. The Spirit of the Lord is not sitting here bringing heathens into the fold. It said in Amos 9:9, the Lord shall sift the nation of Israel from amongst the nation. It's a sifting. The Spirit of the Lord is filtering. You know what I'm saying? That's what's happening, man. This is, let's see if I can bring this up. What's this? There you go. This is Sirach chapter 39 and 24. It says, "As his ways are plain unto the holy, so are they stumbling blocks unto the wicked." So I read that again, Sirach 39 and 24. It says, "As his ways are plain unto the holy, so are they stumbling blocks into the wicked." So the reason why, you know, these Shatra and non-refined dudes, the reason why they're doing what they're doing is because they're wicked. The reason why ISUPK cannot see an Israelite past his flesh is because they're wicked, right? The Lord has opened up, the Lord put me away. He made their eyes fat, man. Yeah. So he shut your eyes, your spiritual eyes, and he shut your spiritual ears. And guess what? On the outside, you look like an Israelite. Plain and simple. You say, "Oh man, that's an Israelite." You know, you look at your honor, you know he's an Israelite, a Benjamite. But the Most High will go to places like Tunisia, Algeria, and Morocco, and what did we do? What would he do? He would open up their eyes. Those Israelites. But he gonna shut your eyes. Come on, man. So yeah, brother, let's go back to we got Tunisia. We already got Algeria.
Come. And it's
and Morocco. Yeah, let's get Morocco. And then we're gonna keep on reading. Trying to
Morocco means place the sun sets. the West. Berber languages.
There you go again.
It says, officially known as the Kingdom of Morocco, is a unitary.
I wonder what Morocco means, though.
Right. It says, place the sunsets.
That's what it means?
Right.
Oh, wow.
See, place the sunsets.
Yep.
The West. It says, is a unitary sovereign state located in the Maghreb region of North Africa. It is one of the native homelands of the indigenous Berber people. Geographically, Morocco is characterized by rugged, mountainous interior, large tracts of desert.
Oh, remember?
Yep.
It said, well, read that again, but just give me 1 second, brother.
Morocco is characterized by a rugged, mountainous interior.
Right, a rugged, mountainous interior. Now, this is, we read it last week. This is Matthew 24. This is Matthew 24 and 15. It says, when ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet stand in the holy place, whoso readeth, let him understand. Then let them which be in Judea flee into the mountains. What mountains is it talking about? It's what we just read.
Yeah.
Because you can't get to West Africa unless you go through Tunisia and places like that.
Yeah.
Egypt, played in Tunisia. So when the Lord said flee into the mountains, the Lord was speaking about what? All the northern and western Africa.
Yep.
Plain and simple. So I'm reading again, Matthew 24 and 16 says, then let them which be in Judea flee into the mountains. Let him which is on the housetop not come down to take anything out of his house. You know what I'm saying? So that lets you know right there, those are the mountains.
I was looking for in the earth.
What?
Yeah, this Revelation 12 and 16. I'll pull it up. Revelation 12 verse 16, and it says, and the earth helped the woman, and the earth opened her mouth and swallowed up the flood which the dragon cast out of his mouth. And the earth helping the woman is a part of, Israel. What woman is that? Israel.
That's right.
Israel fleeing to the western parts and northern parts of Africa.
That's right.
And fleeing into different mountainous regions.
That's right.
And that's not the first time we've done this. Even in the scriptures, it talks about how we were on the hill, the hill countries, and we were in lands like that before.
That's right.
You know.
That's right. You got Isaiah 49.
Isaiah 49.
Acts 49 and 5.
5. Okay. Isaiah 49 in verse 5. It says, and now saith the Lord, that formed me from the womb to be his servant, to bring Jacob again to him, though Israel be not gathered. Yet shall I be glorious in the eyes of the Lord.
Right, V6 is right.
And my power shall be my strength. And he said, it is a light thing that thou shouldest be my servant to raise up the tribes of Jacob, and to restore the preserved of Israel. I will also give thee for a light to the Gentiles, that thou mayest be my salvation unto the end of the earth.
That's right.
That's right. And it says, I will also give thee to be a light to the Gentiles. And guess what? This is a part of it. Are we not showing forth the light? What is the light, by the way? Because we're not the light of ourselves, bro.
That's right.
We're the light by Yahweh Shai.
That's right.
And guess what?
We're the reflection
exactly.
of Yahweh Shai.
Remember in Matthew the 5th chapter. What does it say in Matthew the 5th chapter? Let me get that.
5 and 16?
Yep.
That's right.
This is Matthew 5 and 16. Let your light so shine before men, that they may see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven. What men are going to glorify the Father which is in heaven? The ones that are in the Gentile state of mind, man.
That's right.
The ones that are scattered abroad. We were in a Gentile state of mind.
That's right.
And yet we were taught, and guess what? We glorify Yahweh Shai, our Father in heaven, man. When it says let your light, is not exactly our light just like we own it. It was given to us, man.
That's right. A quick one. This is 1 Kings 22 and 17. It says, and he said, I saw all Israel scattered upon the hills as sheep that have not a shepherd. And the Lord, Yahweh Shai, said, these have no master. Let them return every man to his house in peace. But like the point that you made is that Israel going to be scattered upon the hills with no shepherds. That's when you fleeing from captivity. So you know Israel have no shepherd. Why? Because the shepherd Yahweh he was in the spirit world. He was in the spirit world, and by that time the disciples, right? The disciples had pretty much been put to death. You know, that was prophesied after the death of the apostles. What would happen? The scattering of Jerusalem would happen, man.
If I'm not mistaken, wasn't in that in the book of Judith? They try to come and siege us, put us in the siege, which they eventually did put us in the siege. But they couldn't really get to us like that. That's why they blocked off the waterways and stuff like that. But we were in the hills.
That's right. Guys, Morocco. We finished reading Morocco?
No, let's see. It's not you.
Yep, the brother right there said, Morocco in the Arabic tongue is pronounced Maghreb, which means west. There you go.
That's right.
Hey, shalom up. That's
right. It says,
Ayak, and also Ayak, of course, GMS, Ashtamit, how is
Saskatchewan.
Saskatchewan, Salakia. Yeah, brother, if you have more information, just put it up, you know what I'm saying? Put it up, brother. You know, because that's what it's all about. It's about knowledge, you know. You don't know what you don't know. But for you to know, a man has to tell you. You know, and the Lord gives the knowledge to the men. You know, He's scattered and given His knowledge by measures according to our measure. You know what I'm saying? So if you have knowledge, man, put it up there, man. Let it all out, man. Because this gonna count when all hell breaks loose and Yahweh Shai is making His selection and it's coming to get us out here, man. These things are gonna matter, man. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna matter. You know, you don't want to go into this thing thinking, you know what, I could have, you know, I could have, you know. Nah, ain't gonna be no time for coulda, woulda, shoulda, man. You gotta do it now. You gotta seize the moment with spirit. Now go ahead.
It says geographically, Morocco is characterized by a rugged mountainous interior, large tracts of desert, and a lengthy coastline along the Atlantic Ocean and Mediterranean Sea.
That's right. That's right.
And it's still like the Berber.
It's still the Berber people.
The Berber people.
That's right. The Berber people was put one of the sons of Ham. You know, because again, Ham had Matazarian, which were the ancient Egyptians, the Sudanese, Cushites, the so-called Ethiopians, and Canaan, so-called South Africans, and then Put, which you have right here, the Berber people, who mostly reside in northern Africa and were colonized and conquered by Islam in this year 1600, from 1632, I think, into 712. You know, 709, 712. That's the reason why you see their flags. It's got the crescent, you know, crescent moon and the star, right? Because it goes back to what? It goes back to Islam, which Islam goes back to the Queen of Heaven worship. But like I said, Israelites are in the midst of that. You know, if you watching, man, and the spirit is hitting you, you know what I'm saying? Hey, man, you know, just hey, praise the Lord, man. Praise the Lord and let it be known. Because when you let it be known, that's powerful. It's powerful when you from these places and you let it be known, you put your face out there. That I am one of you, one of us through the Spirit. You know, and that Yahweh Shem Shai is dealing with you. Then it confounds these niggas, man. Then it fulfills the prophecy of Habakkuk. I will work in your days. You know what I'm saying? Let me get that again. You know, because remember, prophecy, what is prophecy? I mean, prophecy is something, for prophecy for prophecy to develop, prophecy develops through men. You know what I'm saying? Like prophecy can't develop if everybody's standing still. You know, how is America's going to be destroyed? Well, it prophesied that America's going to take their troops over there to the Valley of Jehoshaphat. So how is the prophecy that we going to rise up? Because we rising up. So prophecy is a spirit. Prophecy pretty much is the spirit of Yahweh Shai that moves men to actually walk according to what? According to the plans of the Most High. That's all that prophecy is. It's the spirit of Yahweh Shai that moves men to walk according to the plans of Yahweh by Shem Yahushua. That's right. Lobby Stones is right. Let me see. I think it's back up. I think it's Habakkuk chapter. Habakkuk chapter 1, verse 5. Yeah, Habakkuk chapter 1, verse 5. It says, "Behold, ye among the heathen, and regard and wonder marvelously. For I will work a work in your days, which ye will not believe, though it be told you." And it says, "Behold, ye amongst the heathens." Amongst the heathens. The ones that are being sifted, through the sift, the ones that are being retained by Yahweh amongst the heathens. This is happening. So the prophecy is, we are supposed to do what we're doing, and you're supposed to wake up, right? And you're supposed to put your face out there, right? To show that the prophecy, that the word and the vision and the image of Yahweh does indeed speak.
But that gives a new meaning to, the brother said, love that precept. That's right. But that gives a new meaning to Revelations, the 5th chapter, the 9th verse.
That's right.
It says, out of we tongue nation. And people think that's actually talking about the heathen. Man, it's talking about Israel among the heathen, which you just read. It links up with prophecy.
That's right. Let me see. I think I got another one. This is Acts 13. I think it's 13:41 if I got it right. Nah. Hold up. Yeah, I think it is. Acts 13. All right. This is Acts 13 and 40. It says, "Beware therefore, lest that come upon you which is spoken of in the prophets. Behold, ye despisers, and wonder, and perish. For I work a work in your days, a work which you shall in no wise believe, though a man declare it unto you." You see that? That's part of this Acts speaking about Habakkuk, about the work that Yahweh by Shem Yahushua is doing right now. And we declaring this through the Spirit. And a lot of these Israelite groups just did not believe. But that's why I said in verse 40, "Beware therefore lest that come upon you which is spoken of the prophet," meaning you rejecting those Israelite men and then you being destroyed. I got one more precept before we keep going. This is Amos chapter 9. Because these dudes, they don't know what they're doing, man. They trying to close the gates to salvation to the elect, which they can't do it. But the fact that they're trying, that's going to get them destroyed, man. This is Amos chapter 5. So like Amos chapter 5, verse 12. This is Amos chapter 5, verse 12. It says, "For I know your manifold transgressions and your mighty sins. They afflict the just. They take a bribe, and they turn aside a poor in the gate from their right." You see that? So the false prophets, ISUPK, and all these other groups. You know what I'm saying? It says what? These are all charges. It said they afflict the just. You look at an Israelite, just because he looks like a heathen, you call him a heathen. That's affliction. That's affliction. And we actually met one over there in Columbia Heights, man. He didn't even want to approach us. Why? Because ISUPK had scarred him, man. And he was Eritrean. The dude looked like Deshaun Jackson, man, the football player. And he had the swag. He got the same swag as Biggie Smalls. And you looking at this guy, so well, he's not an Israelite. He was afflicted. Then we had to, clean the bullshit, right? Right, through the Spirit, and replace that with the gospel of Yahweh, man. So it says, Amos 5 and 12, "For I know your manifold transgressions and your mighty sins. They afflict the just. They take a bribe, and they turn aside the poor in the gate from their right." And that's they right. It's to be part of the commonwealth of Israel, man. That's right. Straight there. Yeah. Wow. You see that? Bang, man. The GMS Denver kind of had a spectator come by camp, and he got jumped by ISCPK. Yeah. See that? Say they carnal, man. So, hey, they gonna be judged, man. Hey, but let's go back to the book.
Okay. This is page 86. Let me see. Many other Jews fled to the areas where Rome did not have any jurisdiction. This was to the region of the south. What's this? Okay, no, that's not. Yeah. The south, the Sahara Desert, and the Sudan. Graziel says such is the explanation of how the Saharan Desert first acquired Jewish tribes, toughened by a fighting tradition and possessed of physical characteristics, blacks, which it is said still make them approximate very closely the original Jewish population of Palestine. The Jews are an omnipresent people. They seem to exist everywhere.
You see that? See that? Look at the word omnipresent. Because that's another word that describes Yahweh by Shemir Shad. Is it on?
Yeah, I was trying to pull it up.
Yeah, brother. Yeah, look up the word Edom online, go to omnipresent. Man, we all over the place, man. Jake is everywhere, man. And Jake is looking like the other nations. That's why the only way to know, you gotta be spiritual. The Spirit of the Lord has to deal with you.
Of course, when you look that up, it says see omnipresence, and then it says Latin, omnis, all, every. And then present, so all present.
Yeah,
every present.
Everywhere, present everywhere. And you know, then go back to the book and read it.
Back in the book, it says the Jews are an omnipresent people. They seem to exist everywhere. At the beginning of the 6th century, they are found in Spain before the Mohammedan conquest. Spain is known to the Jews as the classical land of crypto-Judaism because they feigned Christianity but practiced Jewish ritual in secret.
Right, that's why you had the Spanish Inquisition, which, you know, Lord willing, you know, we're going to get into that as well in our future title, because right now we just focusing on, you know, the Jews of North Africa. So eventually we'll get there. We'll get to Europe as well, you know, Spain, and so on and so forth. So that's definitely going to be interesting, man.
It says, as early as the Roman period, the Jews of Spain had been large in number and influential. Many of them claimed to be descendants of noble Jews in Jerusalem who had been carried into exile by General Titus. After the Visigoth, a German tribe invasion, the situation ameliorated for the Jews because the Visigoths adopted the Arian form of Christianity and they favored the Jews. However, when they converted to Catholicism, they became zealous like any other neophytes. King Recared of Salakia, King Recared, ascended the throne in 589. This was the beginning of harsh religious enactments against the Jews. When King Sisabat occupied the throne, there was a prevalence of the utmost religious fanaticism. In 616 AD, the big shock came. The king ordered the baptism of all the Jews in his domain, under the penalty of expulsion and the loss of all their property. According to Catholic authorities, 90,000 embraced Christianity at this time. This was forced baptism. In the 7th century, the Jews were threatened with the penalty of slavery if they were found practicing Judaism. This cruel policy caused many Jews to flee to the Mediterranean and western coast of Africa. The southernmost point of Spain after you cross the sea leads you to the northern or the western coast of Africa. Throughout the Middle Ages, many European governments expelled their Jews. These black Jews migrated to neighboring countries, Turkey and Africa. The Lord shall cause thee to be smitten before thine enemies. Thou shalt go out one way against them, and flee 7 ways before them.
Right, that goes back to Deuteronomy, you know, because he's quoting on the curses, Deuteronomy the 20th chapter, you know, which I mean, listen, the dispersion, the captivity, those are curses. we not supposed to be a people that's just running around from land to land. You know what I'm saying? We supposed to be a people with the greatest land of all, right? Which is the land of Israel. Which the scripture tells you in Exodus that the eyes of the eyes of the Lord are always upon the land of Israel. You know what I'm saying? So that's our land, and on top of that, we supposed to own the whole entire planet. But instead, we've been relegated to running around like nomads with no land, from captivity to captivity. Why is that? Because we broke the law, statutes, commandments of Yahweh Shem Yahushua, man. Let me get this right quick. This is Deuteronomy 28 and 25.
Yeah, if I may.
Yeah.
If I may, because that's what it was.
Yeah.
It says, and flee 7 ways before them, and shall be removed into all the kingdoms of the earth. That's Deuteronomy 28 and 25.
That's right. That's right. Keep going.
It says, the Byzantine emperors in the 5th and 6th centuries persecuted the Jews constantly. Therefore, multitudes of Jews were compelled to migrate into the Sahara Desert.
Right, but you have to know who the Byzantine was, though. That's right. The Byzantine Empire was Jews as well. That's right. But see, remember, when you talking about the Byzantine Empire, you talking about Rome still, but it's just Rome.
The Holy Rome.
Right, it's just Rome under the rulership of what? Of Negroes, right? Negroes that actually went in there and started, to pretty much take over. You talking about going back to actually, as a matter of fact, let me get that. This is Revelation, going back to Marcus Aurelius, Septimius Severus, and even further than a little bit above that as well. When you look at Circa, I mean, it was a transition. So you have to know that, because if you don't, you're going to be like, well, if the Byzantine were pushing the Jews, or that, what does that mean? No, it's Israelites. Just like in the pagan Roman Empire, you had Israelites that were persecuting Israelites under the order of Edomite Roman Caesar, authority. This is Revelation chapter 20. Revelation chapter 20, verse 1. It says, and I saw an angel come down from heaven, having the key of the bottomless pit and a great chain in his hand. And he laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years. Right. That when you talking about Revelation 20 and 1, that angel is talking about that spirit. It's talking about that spirit that started with that what? That started the uprising of Negroes, from the ranks all the way up to what? To pretty much seizing Rome, and having really a new Rome, named the Holy Roman Empire, of Byzantine, meaning backwards. The backwards empire. Why are they called it? Well, hey, you know what it is. Because when you look at ancient Rome, pagan Rome, it was led by Edomites. And now Rome was led by so-called Negroes. You know what I'm saying? So that's a backwards kingdom.
Backwards, yeah.
That's just like what Dark Ages.
Right. It says, by this time the Sahara Desert was heavily occupied. I'll read up. It says, the Byzantine emperors in the 5th and 6th centuries persecuted the Jews constantly. Therefore, multitudes of Jews were compelled to migrate into the Sahara Desert to the south. By this time, the Sahara Desert was heavily occupied with black Jews. The Arabs pushed their way out of Arabia in the 7th century. In the year 640 AD, they attacked Egypt and continued across Africa. Then a Jewish queen named Kahina organized an army consisting of Jews and Berbers in order to stop the penetration of the Muslims in North Africa.
Yeah, look her up.
Okay.
Yeah, Baksha, pull up her name right quick. Yeah, pull up her name right quick. Wikipedia, Baksha. Because clearly she made an alliance with the Berber people, right?
Kahina. It says in legacy. Let me see. Kahina in history. I'll read this one. Kahina in history. The Berbers were the ancient indigenous people of North Africa, west of Egypt. They were of many tribes, but they managed to maintain their culture, their Hamitic languages, and considerable military power during successive invasions of their land. North Africa was conquered by the Phoenicians, who became the Carthaginians. Then the Romans, the Vandals, one of the Germanic tribes that destroyed the Roman Empire, the Byzantines, and finally the Arabs. Other foreign notable Greeks and Jews also lived in ancient North Africa.
See that? Facts.
You see,
what does it say about her in particular?
Right. So I'm trying to go down. Right here it says, the Kahina's name is given variously as Dahia, Dahia, or Daba. Women in world history says the title Kahina meant prophetess. Encyclopedia Judaica says that the term is derived from the Arabic Kahin, soothsayer, and dismisses it as error the idea that Kahina was derived from the Jewish term Kohen.
Yeah, I mean, go to Wikipedia and see what they're saying.
Here we go. There's a various spelling. Dia or Kahina, Berber, was a Berber warrior queen and a religious and military leader who led indigenous resistance to the Muslim conquest of the Maghreb, the region then known as Numidia. She was born in the early 7th century and died around the end of the 7th century in modern-day Algeria.
Right, but in the Timbuktu it says she was an Israelite. She was an Israelite that made a pact or made a deal, contract. But those things happen, you know. You were actually, you know, the enemy of my enemy is my friend, so you know, so to speak. You know, so she made a pact. So you know, children came out of that. So you have Israelites that had children with the Berbers. So that's how we know.
Yeah, it said Berber.
It said Berber. It constantly speaks about an influx of Israelite presence in North Africa.
If I can jump down, cause I skimmed through. It says right here. Accounts from the 19th century on claims she was of Jewish religion, or that her tribe were Judaized Berbers.
See that? So you talking about remember, just like right now when you go to West Africa stuff, you know, some of our people keep the laws and all that, but a lot of our people, they kind of like it's still mixed in with a few Hamitic things, you know. Heathenistic customs, but for the most part they have the customs that go back to their true nature, which is being Hebrew Israelites. So it's not a surprise. Alright, bro, let's go back so we can wrap it up.
It says let me see. Then let me see. The Arabs pushed their way out of Arabia in the 7th century. In the year 640 AD they attacked Egypt and continued across Africa. Then a Jewish queen named Dia Kahina organized an army consisting of Jews and Berbers in order to stop the penetration of the Muslims in North Africa. This queen vanquished the Arabs, and the people of Africa rejoiced in her victory. Years later, the Mohammedans fought the army of this Jewish queen once more, and she was defeated. She was defeated the second time because of the jealousies of different people in various tribes.
The eye shall be evil towards it. So you know that spirit was in there, you know. I mean, because the Berber tribe, of course, they made deals and they made pacts with Israel. But the niggas they got the curses, man.
It's always Jake, man.
The niggas.
It's always, you know, a lot of the Latin tribes, or the so-called Indios tribes.
Yeah.
You know, what took them down against Esau was what? Themselves.
Well,
I don't want to say themselves, I'll say ourselves. But I'll say, well, the wicked of our nation took us down, I'll say, man.
Yeah, through the curses, man. The curses of Deuteronomy 28. Let me get that right quick. It says, Deuteronomy 28:54. It says, so that the man that is tender among you and very delicate, his eyes shall be evil toward his brother, and toward the wife of his bosom, and towards the remnant of his children which he shall leave. So these dudes, they go down there in Africa, right? You try to picture it, they go down there in Africa, and they make a treaty with the Berber people, or to try to fight the invasion of the Ishmael, right? And the Mohammedans, you know, and Islam, and they win the first fight with this Israelite woman, you know, helping them.
Right.
leading the way, so to speak, right? They win the first fight, and then after that jealousy arises, that is, and then they get their ass whooped because why? They were no longer united.
If I may,
go ahead,
because it says some more on that. Bring this back up. It says she was defeated the second time because of the jealousies of different people in various tribes. Having become disgusted, her son turned Muslim and participated in the Islamic conquest of Spain in the year 711 AD.
So he just said, "Fuck it."
Yeah.
Hey, well, brother, that's the same thing with Christianity, right? How many so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans turned to Islam because they were disgusted with Christianity and the hypocrisy of you Negroes in Christianity, man. Ah, look at the Christians. The Christians always do this. The Christians always do that. They say this, but they don't do that. Did Jesus say this to do this, but you doing something totally opposite?
Especially after the fact that they've been destroyed. When Jake like to follow things that have power.
That's right.
If it would constantly show, like for example, our people shall be willing in the day of thy power.
That's right.
If they see the power of God, as these people want,
that's right.
If they see the power of God, then all of a sudden they would act right. But the reason why they're not acting right, because they quote unquote right now, they don't see the power of God.
That's right.
So that's the problem. So he was like, oh well, you know what? I'm disgusted. We've been defeated. You know, I'm going on to Islam because I'm gonna be a part of the ones conquering. I'm going on the winning side. You know, this is the scriptures are the winning side, man. All right.
That's right. That's it, right? That was it.
Come.
All right. Just gonna finish with this precept.
Come.
This is, of course, like last time. This is in Revelation chapter 7. Revelation chapter 7, verse 1. It says, and after these, it's like, and after these things, I saw 4 angels standing on the 4 corners of the earth, and beholding the 4 winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree. And I saw another angel ascending from the east, having the seal of the living power, and he cried with a loud voice to the 4 angels, to whom it was given to hurt the earth and the sea, saying, hurt not the earth, nor the sea, nor the trees, till we have sealed the servants of our power in their foreheads. Right? Now, when you jump down to verse 9, it says, after all the 12 tribes, 144,000, it says, verse 9, it says, after this I beheld, and lo, a great multitude, which no man could number, of all nations, and kindreds, and people, and tongues, stood before the throne and before the Lamb, clothed with white robes and palms in their hands, and cried with a loud voice, saying, salvation to our power, which sitteth upon the throne and unto the Lamb. And all the angels stood around about the throne and about the elders and the 4 beasts, and fell before the throne on their faces and worshipped Yahweh Shem Shah, saying, Amen, blessing and glory and wisdom and thanksgiving and honor and power and might be unto our power forever and ever. Amen. And one of the elders answered, saying unto me, what are these which are arrayed in white robes, and whence came that? And he said unto him, sir, thou knowest. And he said unto me, these are they which came out of the great tribulation, and have washed their robes and made them white in the blood of the Lamb. So, you know, basically that's what it is. You know, that's what the diaspora was all about. You know, so it's about you know, the elect out of the nation of Israel, Gentiles, Israelite foreigners dispersed across the 4 winds. It's about them putting on those white robes again, man. You know what I'm saying? Which is this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, and coming back into the fold and being sealed. You know what I'm saying? By the mark in Isaiah, actually, you know, worshiping the image, right, of Yahweh Shem Shah, and receiving the mark of Yahweh Shem Shah. You know, that's spoken of in Ezekiel 9:4. You know what I'm saying? So, you have any closing statements? So with that, of course, this concludes the first part. You know, of what's that?
Part 2.
Part 2. You know, really the first chapter as far as like black, so-called black Jews, and then you find out Ephraimites as well in northern Africa. So Lord willing, you know, we probably Lord willing, next week we going into the Empire of Ghana. You know what I'm saying? We going into Ghana and see what's going on down there through the spirit, and bring some images and tribes and different things. You know what I'm saying? So, hey, you know, keep watching, brothers. It's getting good. We all learning. You know, this is a journey, and all of us are learning. You know. So with that, of course, we want to say Kal Halal Yahweh, Ba'Hashem, Yahushua, Ba'Hashem, HaKodash. Of course, we want to give double honor to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Shalom, salutation to all you sincere actors across the four winds, pushing this truth with sincerity of heart. Elect scattered across the four winds. I'm Simon God DC Kid.
So you're on Allah.
That's right, hey, stay strong, stay faithful. Shalom.